Okay, so, we always try to bring you interesting stuff, and this time you sent over some pretty wild material, and we have to talk about it.
Yeah, this was a doozy.
It really is. So for everyone listening, we're going to deep dive on this Time magazine photo of Ukrainian President Zelensky. And, this image is really causing a stir, particularly over in Moscow.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is just how much a single picture can say right. It's not like a typical portrait or a nice photo op. This is definitely a statement.
Totally. And I think the heart of it, like the core of the controversy, is this painting that's right behind Zelensky.
Oh, yeah, the one by
Sandra Antadze.
It's called Dream. Right, and it's like, you can't miss it. It's the Kremlin in flames.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah.
What does this image actually signify? How are people reacting to it? And what does it maybe tell us about Zelensky's view of this conflict, which has been dragging on for years at this point?
And it's not just some random art they chose. It sounds like Zelensky really connects with this painting. The Time article even mentions that he's called it his, like, quote-unquote, favorite symbol of victory.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong statement. So picture this. Zelensky's giving an interview, and right there in the background is this, pretty dramatic image of the Kremlin burning. I mean, the Kremlin's response was harsh. They didn't hold back.
Oh, absolutely. Like, according to that TASS report, their spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, basically questioned the intelligence and mental state of everyone involved in this photo.
Ouch.
It's not subtle, right? And that kind of makes you think it really got under their skin.
It's not just a dismissive, oh, this is silly kind of comment.
No, it's definitely a pointed barb.
Yeah.
And that makes you wonder if maybe they recognize just how powerful that symbol could be, not just for people in Russia, but internationally.
Right. And here's the thing. This isn't even the first time we've seen this painting. The Time article pointed out that it was also visible during Zelensky's New Year's address.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And during that speech, he even said something about those who are bringing hell to Ukraine will one day see it from their own window.
Wow. So he's really connecting that image with his vision of how this whole thing ends.
It's not a one-time thing or just a coincidence?
Right. Seems like a very deliberate association.
And speaking of visual symbolism, the Time article mentions some other interesting details about Zelensky's surroundings. Like, what's hanging over his bed.
I'm curious now. Fill me in.
A picture of a Russian ship sinking in the Black Sea from back in 2022.
And that's not all, is it?
Nope. There's also another painting of Ukrainian troops fighting on Russian soil.
When you put all of that together, it gives you a pretty clear picture of what's going on in Zelensky's head.
Yeah, it's not just interior decorating.
No, it feels like he's carefully choosing these images, each one representing a key moment or a desired outcome.
And it makes you think, what message is he trying to send with all of this?
Exactly.
And then to drive the point home, there's a quote from Zelensky in the Time article. He says, quote, "Each one's about victory. That's where I live," end quote.
Wow. So he's very explicitly saying that these visuals represent something deeply personal for him.
Yeah, and when you consider all of these visual cues, right, we've got the burning Kremlin, the sinking ship, the Ukrainian troops on Russian soil, plus the very negative reaction from Moscow, it seems to paint a very strong picture.
It does. And, it suggests that Zelensky's view of victory is very firm, maybe even uncompromising.
Yeah.
But of course, this is just our take based on these specific sources.
Right. We're just trying to unpack what's going on here. But it's definitely food for thought.
Absolutely. So to sum up what we've discussed so far, we have this Time magazine photo that sparked controversy, mainly because of the painting of a burning Kremlin in the background. This image and other symbolic items around Zelensky seem to point to his unwavering focus on achieving victory for Ukraine on his own terms.
And it raises an interesting question for all of us listening. Visual symbols have a lot of power, especially in times of war. So what's the bigger message here? What is Zelensky trying to communicate to the people of Ukraine and to the rest of the world by surrounding himself with these particular images? Something to think about.
I think it's definitely worth pondering.
For sure. Okay, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
See you then.